Mesdames et messieurs, I really wish I could do this in French, but as we all know, I'm a pesky Norwegian fjord elf, so I'm gonna have to do it in English. Ne vous inquiétez pas, j'irai doucement. Chapter 1, O brother, where art thou? Dear friends, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss, each and every one of you. But most of all, Anne-Marie, Larry, Kevin, and Joseph the King's closest friends. I sadly don't know all of you yet, but if you're a friend of Joseph, you're a friend of mine. As most of you know through our moronic ramblings on the Having a Ball podcast, Joseph and I usually work best without a script. But it's not every day you lay one of your nearest and dearest to rest, so for the first time ever in a Having a Ball context, I come prepared. And I might have to read rather than perform. I thought a lot about what clothes to wear today. The options were either all black or an explosion of colors, considering Joseph always wore lots of colors. I ended up in black, but with yellow Joseph-esque shoes, because I will carry on the walk for him. And tomorrow, I will wear colors, I promise. I also don't have any Having a Ball merch on me right now, although I'm very glad to see many of you do. In this case, Joseph would say, "Your giant forehead kind of looks like a big pink ball. That'll do." There's a million things I want to say, but in the spirit of Joseph's love of storytelling, I've carefully constructed this as a 3-act script, and I've trimmed the fat. The question is, where do I start? Is it at the beginning, the middle, or the end? And what is the beginning, middle, and the end? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Hi, I'm Andreas. Thank you so much to everyone who's contributed to the Having a Ball movement. Both myself and the entire Barnes family are eternally grateful and overwhelmingly humbled by the massive response. And believe me, this is only the beginning. That's a promise we'll make him proud. And we're back. Joseph, pal, buddy, friend, brother. I got to see you last night, lying there in your Having a Ball hoodie that I gave you for your last birthday. You looked so peaceful, and seeing you made this both a lot more real and a lot more surreal. Like everyone, I was waiting for you to wake up and make me laugh, but you didn't this time. Although, in your defense, you've made me laugh enough for 10 lifetimes at least. Joseph specifically asked me to speak here today, pointing out, if you speak, then I know at least one person will be funny. The next line here is, I'm going to have a hard time making you laugh, but I pulled that off, so we'll drop that line. My goal was to make you smile, a cheeky Joseph smile. Please note that we are not referring to this gathering as the F word, and by that I mean funeral. That's for you. We're calling this a celebration of life. I think that's wonderful, especially considering how full of life Joseph was and forever will be in our memories. I am, however, referring to my speech as a eulogy, because I happen to think that's a particularly beautiful word. It simply means a speech or piece of writing that praises someone highly. And we all know that guy deserves it. To a certain extent, I feel I have a responsibility to mix in a bunch of really obscure references here, because on some level, I'd like to think that Joseph's spirit somehow hears it. Cool beans, dude. At some point, he'll let me know somehow that he really liked that one particular joke that seemingly no one understood. I don't really believe that, but I desperately, wholeheartedly want to believe it. And considering Joseph was such a huge presence when he was here, it's only fair to assume that his spirit is still out there, somewhere in the ether, watching over us and whispering chuckle-worthy puns in our ears when we really need to hear it. Chapter 2, Stand By Me. The title of this chapter clearly refers to the book by his favorite author, Stephen King. But remember, when the night has come and the land is dark, and the moon is the only life we'll see, no, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. I know that's cheesy, but that's the song, Stand By Me, by another king, namely Ben E. King. So we have Joseph the King, Stephen King, Ben E. King. There's a lot of kings here. Stand By Me is either way about friendship, and Joseph was truly everybody's friend. He was the definition of a friend. He was the best friend. I bet you right now he's sitting with his dearly departed friends, among others Gabor and Ivan, and in addition, he's probably already making new friends. I picture Joseph sitting at some classy, swanky bar with the likes of Norm Macdonald, Robin Williams, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis Presley. They're all laughing hysterically at something Joseph just said. Old Blue-Eyed Sinatra probably lays his arm around Joseph and says, "You're all right, kid. You're one of us." They're carefree, they're happy, and the sun is shining on their faces. I know many of you, because you told me through hundreds of messages that you feel guilty for not being there enough for him, or freezing up, or not knowing what to say or how to say it, or not being able to say goodbye. I'm telling you, please clear that conscience. Joseph wouldn't have wanted that for any of you. He would have wanted you to only remember the good times, the fun times, the laughter, the joy, the moments spent together. And I know that in some weird way, I represented all of us and everyone out there when we made together our masterpiece, Having a Ball. It happened to be me who walked alongside Joseph on his tragic yet inspiring journey. But know that I did it for all of us. It is truly a legacy for the ages, and I can't tell you how proud I am of that, and Joseph was too. I mean, he has his own logo. Who has that? That's like Batman, Prince, and Joseph. The lesson is, however, that you should never postpone telling someone you love them. Being nice costs nothing. So please, take a moment, look around the room, meet each other's eyes, and smile. That's an order. That's right. Because we only have two things in this life that truly matters. Time and love. Love lasts forever, time runs out. In other words, utilize the time you have. If Joe heard me say that in a crowded room, he would smile, nod, lean in, and whisper in my ear, "Way to make him cry, dipshit." Or, "Lil Dicky," or "You moron," or whatever he felt like saying at the moment. They say you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And when you choose the right friends, they become your family. In other words, even though I'm the only one from my particular biological lineage in this room, I'm still surrounded by family. So are you. Now, if I tell you that I'm about to quote the deaf and blind author and activist Helen Keller, I hope most of you are expecting me to make a very crude joke. But I might just surprise you. She wrote, "Once I knew the depth where no hope was, and darkness lay on the face of all things. Then love came and set my soul free." Joseph was surrounded by love for all of his 41 years. You all prove that. And now that he's no longer in agonizing pain, I also hope his soul is free. Final chapter, chapter 3, Zihuatanejo. You remember the name of the town, right? Zihuatanejo. Joseph and I lived in our own little world of references, stories, anecdotes, jokes, adventures, and fairy tales. We were happy there. He had several worlds like that with a lot of you. Please cherish those memories, my friends. It's already been brought up a number of times, but the Stephen King book and subsequent movie adaptation, The Shawshank Redemption, is a story that almost everyone loves. And if you don't, you're weird. It's the story of Red, played by Morgan Freeman, surprisingly similar voice to that guy, and Andy, played by Tim Robbins, who are locked up in prison. I think of me, I think of Joseph, and I think of all of us when I think of that story, because we were all right there with him in his particular prison. Our roles get a bit mixed up though, because my name, Andreas, is similar to Andy, but it was Joseph who had to crawl through a river of shit to get to freedom. It was unpleasant, it was painful, it was unfair, and we sadly couldn't help him, even though we all wanted to. In Shawshank, Andy tells Red, in other words, Joseph tells us, that he's going to this little town of Zihuatanejo by the Pacific, where he'll spend the rest of his days carefree in the sun, and hopefully they'll see each other there again. Apparently with Frank Sinatra now, according to this script. Now, I'm not going to try to do Morgan Freeman's voice, because he would laugh at me. But I am going to tell you what he said once Andy, or in this case, Joey, left. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes it makes me sad, though, Joey being gone. I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. But still, the place you live in is that much more gray and empty now that they're gone. I guess I just miss my friend. Now in closing, just in case this all happens to be Joseph's version of the Truman Show, I have to say, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You Prince of Colombier, you King of Neuchâtel. I love you, buddy. We'll see each other again in Zihuatanejo. The end. Thank you.